In September 2011, Netflix did something so disastrously wrong that it lost nearly 1 million subscribers in 90 days, wiped out 3/4 of its stock value, and turned its CEO into the biggest punchline on late-night TV. If you were using Netflix back then, you probably canceled your account in rage. But what you didn't know was that Netflix was actively using your anger to fund a secret pivot, one that no one saw coming. To understand how they pulled it off, you have to look at what was happening behind closed doors in late 2011, where executives quietly placed a bet so extreme that their own board thought it was suicide. But to see why that gamble worked, we first have to look at the email that started the Firestorm. It started in 1997 with a simple grudge. Reed Hastings founded Netflix after getting hit with a $40 late fee on a rented VHS. 2 years later, he launched a flat monthly fee, no due dates, no late fees, just a red envelope in the mail. In 2000, Hastings tried to sell Netflix to Blockbuster for $50 million. Blockbuster literally laughed them out of the room, so Netflix built their empire alone. By 2007, they introduced a free perk nobody asked for: digital streaming, bundled directly into existing DVD plans. By 2010, their stock had tripled in a single year. Wall Street called them unstoppable. Everything about that story sounds like the setup to a triumphant rise. It wasn't. It was the setup to the moment Netflix almost threw it all away. In July 2011, Netflix abruptly separated its DVD and streaming plans into 2 standalone subscriptions. For customers who wanted both, prices surged 60% overnight. No warning, no soft rollout, just an email and a bigger bill. Over 1 million subscribers canceled in a single quarter. Then, 2 months later, Hastings made it worse. He announced Netflix was splitting into 2 separate companies. Streaming would stay as Netflix. DVDs were spun off into a new brand called Qwikster. Pause for a second and think about how insane this was. Imagine if Apple told you today that you needed 2 separate iPhones, one just to send text messages, and a completely different phone to make calls. That is literally what Netflix tried to do. 2 accounts, 2 websites, 2 billing statements to do what one used to do. The name became an instant meme. Netflix stock, which traded above $300 in July, cratered below 80 by November, a 75% collapse in 4 months. Hastings posted a public apology, and Qwikster was quietly killed before it ever launched. By the end of 2011, the world assumed Netflix was finished. What they didn't realize was that while the public was mocking Qwikster, Netflix was quietly pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into something far riskier, becoming a Hollywood content studio, not just a distributor. In 2013, they dropped House of Cards, releasing an entire season all at once, a model nobody in the industry had tried. Critics called it a vanity project. Investors panicked over production costs. But when Orange is the New Black and Stranger Things followed, original content became the entire identity of the platform. Here's the part almost nobody connects. The Qwikster disaster and the original content bet were not 2 separate events. They were the exact same decision, viewed from 2 different angles. The price hike wasn't really about DVDs. It was Netflix quietly admitting a year before anyone else saw it that DVDs were a dying business they needed to stop subsidizing so they could pour every single dollar into original streaming instead. They executed the rollout terribly, making the public see a blunder instead of a strategy. But by 2013, that exact same decision funded the pivot that would take Netflix's valuation past $200 billion. Netflix didn't survive by fixing what went wrong. It survived by being right about the future and having just enough time left to prove it. Netflix survived because they saw the death of physical media before anyone else did.